Hi, everyone. Welcome to our event. This is June 17th, and we're talking about the ASTA Travel Advisors Conference. And so let me share my screen with our opening screen, and I'll make sure we'll be able to hear the videos that we have included. And we should be there now. Can you see that okay?
I can see it.
All right. And yeah, we do appreciate you can do questions. We appreciate if you stay muted as you are, unless you're asking a question. You can raise your hand if you want me to try and catch that beforehand, whoever's talking. But otherwise, we don't want you to forget your question just because of timing. So we are talking about the ASTA Travel Advisor Conference 2024, which occurred May 29th to 31st of this year in Dallas, and next year's, which has been announced to be May 20th to 22nd in Salt Lake City, Utah. So those will be our topics of discussion. And as I said, a big reason for this is to be able to ask questions. What goes on at these conferences? Why should I attend? Those type of things. So we're going to start out. We've got itinerary off of the apps for each of the days, and Vicky's going to give us some ideas since she was there of what was going on, and we will have comments on some things from some other people. So the opening day was Wednesday the 29th. And Vicky, or you want to mention what all was going on that day, and then we'll continue from there?
Sure. Okay, so I do want to just also mention that Shelley was there as well. So if we have any questions, I'm going to let Shelley take some of the answers as well. On this particular day, the day before on Tuesday, there had been a tornado in Dallas. And so things did not the registration did not open at 7, and the very first session where they talked about the different tracks actually was in a different location than it was originally planned to be. However, the trade show was all set up and ready to go. The hotel had even, we learned later, had even made sure they had the power was out. I didn't mention this. Power was out to half of the hotel. So it had come on the night before, but they didn't know if it was going to. So the hotel had actually made arrangements to have a generator come in so we could have the trade show no matter what. So they did a real good job of that. And it was kind of strange that only half of the hotel had power. And the half that had power was way far away from the conference center. And so I was a little whiny and I would be going, oh, it's so far. But it really was a quarter of a mile away. So so my number one takeaway from this morning is bring your tennis shoes. Don't bring you're going to be walking a lot. And I think that's the case for every one of these that I've been to, and every conference there's always a lot of walking. Shelley, did you have anything to add to that?
No, I think that's so far, that's exactly what happened.
Okay.
Well,
A little crazy.
I think it shows how well they did in preparation and everything. The fact that with the events that were occurring there, then, I mean, y'all were there just as these big storms swept through and all the flooding and everything and the power going out for a lot of people. The fact they were still able to hold the conference and the hotel came through with power is admirable and is a good sign for that sort of thing.
Yeah. So the trade show was from noon to 3. There were over 200 people or 200 vendors at the trade show. It was massive. It I went through there, I know, a couple of times just during the noon to 3, and I didn't see everyone. So it was pretty impressive how large that trade show was, and it was very well attended by a lot of vendors.
Okay, and we've got another image from your chapter connections, and we'll also see some related to the happy hour and the carnival sponsored kickoff event. So if you're okay with where we are here right now, then we'll go on and take a look at what else you've given us in images. So
Okay.
this is the chapter connection. So you want to explain what that covered and what it was meant for?
Okay. So chapter connections is where every ASTA chapter sets up a table. We all get a 6-foot booth, and then we set up a table. And you'll notice that I've only given you pictures of our table, not any of the others, because there's a table decorating contest, and we're not even in the running for that. So maybe next year, but you'll see there's a map on the table, and it talks about where our chapter is, and then I have some brochures from around the state. This is the first time that I've actually had anything on the table. Prior to this, I just had a tablecloth and, I don't know, some candy or something. So this time we were actually able to do a little bit. And what happens is all of the advisors and all of the vendors come through, and you talk to each chapter. So if you have somebody traveling to Arizona, you can go talk to the Arizona chapter and get books from Arizona on there. Shelley, where is Taylor Swift from? Who knows the answer to that question? One of the booths had a cardboard pop-up of Taylor Swift. I mean, she was tall, and they were taking pictures with her. And at the end, a lot of the chapters give prizes, and some of the vendors give prizes as well. And somebody won that big giant cardboard cutout of Taylor Swift. And so it's a pretty fun event to go around and just get to know other chapters. Now, we had we had more people from our chapter there than this, but these are the people who came to get their picture taken. And remember how I said there were all those storms? A lot of people were having a lot of problems getting in. So some of them did miss the trade show and didn't get in until after this event.
Well, and I told you before, but I'll mention it again. I really like the map. I mean, our chapter stretches across the top of Florida, and I think a lot of members don't realize how much space it covers, how big it is physically and everything. So I thought the map was a good decoration, but also explanation of what the North Florida chapter looked like. So,
Great.
and you'll notice the QR codes. She set these up before, and we had some things related to it and everything. So that's something to remember when you're doing your own tables at places. Is nowadays people they'll give you your information, but they like it to be simple. And QR codes is a good way to do that. Here's another image from. Isn't this also from the connection?
It is. This is actually after that. So I have my cowboy hat on because listen, I had to take a separate suitcase just for just for costumes and for the chapter connections table. But we had a happy hour sponsored by Alaska Anchorage, or Visit Alaska, or Anchorage, Visit Anchorage, something like that. I can't remember. And this was several people from our group. This is Ray and I know her name, Andrea, I think is her name. And then from Kensington, one of the suppliers from Kensington. And so we all just came together and had a nice little happy hour, nothing formal. And then if you'll flip to the next picture, Keith, this was the start of the carnival event. And you guys know Carnival always puts on a great event. And they had dancing and they had food everywhere. This was originally scheduled to be outside, but they moved it inside, and it took over pretty much the whole grand lobby. Is this a video?
It is. You
Go
ready
ahead.
for me to play it? So that girl danced on those stilts for at least 2 hours. She was pretty impressive. Okay, go ahead. And then they had armadillo races, which I've never seen that before, and I can't say I saw an armadillo race, but they had a real live armadillo. I didn't think he was real until I saw him moving. And of course, these pictures are all right at the beginning before it got really crowded. But it did get pretty crowded, and it was pretty impressive party. We were up way later than I needed to be.
Okay, so Thursday we started with 7:45 a.m. and these were called early bird, and none of them, you didn't have to go to them. I chose to, but I tell you, every morning I was like, oh my gosh, why did I get up so early? But they were good educational sessions. Everyone that I went to was good. And then we had the general session where Venus Williams spoke. Then we had lunch and learns. You got to pick which lunch and learn you wanted to go, and then more educational sessions. I did not go to the YPS reception or the Southwest party because my host agency had an event that I went to instead, but I saw all the people that came back from the Southwest party and they said it was amazing. Shelley, did you go to that?
I did go, and it was very, very good. They did an excellent job. They were very happy. It was their actual headquarters, and they really rolled out the red carpet. Each floor had like different types of food, like savory on one floor, sweet on one floor, big viewing area of the planes coming in and out of the airport. It was really impressive.
So since we don't want to talk just about the parties, let's talk about the education a little bit. So Shelley, do you remember the name of the 3 tracks?
No, but if you give me a second, I can look them up.
Okay, I was going to say there was one track that was for brand new advisors or for
Yes.
people who were wanting to learn more about starting a business. And I attended several of those because there are some changes that I want to make to the way I run my business. So I went to a couple of those, something on branding, and some others on, there was lawyers and accountants and those sorts of things. And then there was, Shelley, I'm sorry, I don't remember what some of the others were.
Yeah,
Innovate
it
or
was
something.
really like a midstream advisor, so to speak. And then they had one for agency owners and for anybody who's a member of travel leaders. They basically are following the tracks that go on at Edge, which theirs is 1 through 5. And I think that's actually the way that ASTA will start going as well. So sort of newish, medium, very seasoned, and owners, either large agency or owners of agencies.
Okay. And I've every educational session that I went to was very good. The all of the ones on AI sold out very quickly. And so I wasn't able to get into one, but I did stand outside and at the end, like everybody who had signed up to go in, they scanned us in. And then if there was room available, they let us get into the room. So I was able to get into one on AI that I was not able to sign up for. The lunch and learns, you also signed up for that for different companies, and you got to go hear about their company while you were eating lunch. What questions
Right.
do you have for us, Keith? Oh,
Venus was, you had already
yes,
said she was the keynote speaker for the general session. So,
she was. She was the keynote speaker. And then afterwards, she took pictures with some people. She had like it was not, that was not announced that there were pictures going on, but some people were randomly chosen to get their picture taken. And I was one of them. I haven't received my picture yet, but and we were not allowed when we walked in. We had to put our phones down, our purses, like everything. It was just we couldn't take anything in with us, and so we just went in and had a picture taken with us. So or with
okay.
her.
And then Friday.
So I did not do the fun run or walk. Shelley, did you?
No, I did not do the fun walk. It was hard enough for me to make it to the early bird session.
Yeah, I felt
Yep.
like I was running and walking from my room to the sessions anyway, because it was so far. So, because I had moved over to the section with the with power.
Power.
So, right. And then we had an early bird session that day, and then we had matched meetings. And this was new for this year, and I did it just to see what it was like. And they signed you up. You filled out a questionnaire, and then they signed you up with different vendors, with different suppliers. And you went in and you had 8-minute meetings. So you went back into the room where the trade show was, and they actually had something on Thursday in the trade show room as well. The different vendors had special events in there and invited. It was by invitation. And so, and I actually got a cruise in there from Margaritaville is where I got a free cruise from Margaritaville during that premium part. And so during match meetings, they signed you up with different vendors and you went for 8 minutes to the different vendors. And so some of them were vendors that I had never heard of before, the ones that I was matched with, and some of them were vendors who I knew. And I cannot even imagine what it took to get the people signed up to go with those vendors. I can't imagine what it took. And so I was standing there and I was whining a little bit because I had to run back and forth. It wasn't like in a row but like I said, I can't even imagine what it took to get 1,500 people signed up to go with 200 vendors. Now, not all 1,500 signed up. You had to sign up for that yourself. And then we had another lunch and learn, and then more educational sessions. And then after all of that, okay, at 4 o'clock, they finished the educational sessions, and then you went to go change for whichever party you were going to go to that night. I was our host agency once again. Our consortia had a reception, so I went to the consortia reception, and then I was privileged to go to the advocacy dinner that night. So I did not go to Virgin Voyages, but I saw pictures from it, and it looked pretty impressive.
And we do have some images from the advocacy dinner.
Okay.
We can start with those, and you want to probably explain what that was.
Okay. So what I'm gonna talk a little bit about the dinner, but I'm gonna ask Shelley to talk about the advocacy part. So we went to, and it's a formal dinner. You get dressed up and you go to dinner, and then they serve, and you can just see how beautiful this is. Our menu. They have several different awards, but the entire purpose of the advocacy dinner is to raise money for ASTA PAC. So if you want to go ahead and show a next picture. So this is the table I was at, and I was hosted by BWH Hotels. They invited me to be a part of their table, and so there was a lot of tables all around. I don't know how many people actually are there, but you can see we were all there, and my back was to the dance floor and to the speakers, and the owner of BWH Hotels himself came over and apologized to me for facing my back, and I was like, oh, I'm just so happy to be here. I can turn my chair around. I'm fine. So, okay. And then the next one. And this is once the dance floor fills. These are all people dancing on the dance floor at the end of the event. And Keith, did we ever get that video in?
Yes, we do.
Okay. All right. So this is Kyle. He's the Central Florida president, and me. And then there's Laura. She is from Hammock Beach. And this is Dondra. And the reason I have a picture of Dondra is because our chapter has a goal of money that we raise for ASTA PAC, and our goal is $1,000. And you see, we exceeded our goal this year, so we actually went $1,285.88. A lot, I shouldn't say a lot, but some of that was raised at our 2 events in February. And then it came up to, and you'll see Dondra's name. Dondra, just out of the goodness of her heart, chose our chapter for her personal $250 donation. At that point, I started sending out messages to everybody that was there saying, oh my gosh, Dondra, she chose our chapter. And you'll see that members of our team jumped in, and you'll see Michael Shoddy on there. He is from headquarters. And I ran up to him, and he spoke at our Palm Coast event. And I said, Michael, oh my gosh, or actually I don't call him that, I call him Shoddy, but I said, Shoddy, oh my gosh, Dondra donated and blah, blah. And he goes, oh, how close are you to your goal? I said, we are so, so close. And so he said, I'm going to take care of that right now. And I said, oh, we're like, I can't remember. We were so close. And he goes, let me introduce you to somebody else from North Florida. And so I went up, and I don't even know this Jacqueline Miller person. And he introduced me to her, and I said, oh, you're from North Florida. Have you given to ASTA PAC yet? And she said, no. I said, we would be so honored to have you give to the North Florida chapter, which right there, standing on the dance floor, she went in and did right then. And then Brenda came in and topped us off. So we made our goal. We're super excited to make our goal. And I was hugging everybody. Yay, we made it for the first time ever. So I was super excited about that. And this is Vicki Freed giving out one of the awards. And so what I'd like to do, I think this is our last picture, or no,
right. You've got the video.
Okay. All right. So what happens is at the end, like Royal Caribbean comes in and gives a huge check, and different companies come in and give a huge check, and at the end they just have an open mic. And what you're getting ready to see is a video of one of the little competition type things that they have. So go ahead.
As the new president of Vacation Planners, the newest franchise division to hit the market, we're a baby brand just like you, Dondra. Every dollar counts, right, Matthew? I'm gonna go ahead. Hopefully Ken doesn't fire me after this. $5,000.
You see how excited everybody gets by the amount of money. And I know they raised a tremendous amount of money, but I'm going to have Shelly talk real quick about ASTA, if you don't mind, Shelly.
Sure. So I don't really know what all we want to talk about, except that the whole advocacy dinner is geared toward raising more money for ASTA. They make probably, I'd venture to say, 60 to 70% of their money at the dinner. They make it through large contributions from companies and consortia and hosts, but they also make a pretty good bit from chapters, just like North Florida. I mean, it all adds up. So that's their biggest push, because the people who are already invited to the advocacy dinner know the importance of the work. It's harder sometimes to relay that, I think, at a chapter level when we have meetings and events, to let people know exactly what they're working on, what they were working on that should trickle down pretty quickly as your American clients, if you still have them, can keep their miles from booking with you. So that was their, latest foray into taking up for you. We think it's very important, but it's not the pretty part of travel. So people sometimes don't get very excited about it. But if you get a chance to come to the Travel Advisor Conference and you will let Vicki know that you're attending, we'll put you on the list in case we can wrangle you an invite to the advocacy dinner as well.
You're muted, Vicki.
Sorry, my phone was going crazy. I wanted to silence it while Shelly was talking. So, okay. I also noticed that Ray came on, and Ray was with us at the event as well. So Ray, do you have anything that you'd like to add about the event? Just in general?
It was my first global ASTA conference, and I have gotten more involved with ASTA since 2020 when I saw the work that they were doing for us as agents. And I've decided after this conference that I'm going to be shifting more of my attention, if you will, to things like this that help the cause that we all support. A little more, rather than attending, for example, this year I'm not doing Virtuoso Travel Week. I'm going to put my efforts more into something like ASTA. They do so many good things for us as agents. And I thought that the training was top notch. Yeah, I highly recommend it to everybody. If you haven't been, I can't be there next year because I have a conflict, but if I could, it would be on my agenda. So just so you know, if you get a chance, give it a shot. It's worth everything. It took us an extra day to get there because of weather, but I think Allison would agree that it was worth every bit of extra effort to make it there. Oh, I saw it. You're muted again, Vicki.
Yeah, you're going backwards, Keith. You're going pretty quick.
I am. I was going to go back to the dates for next year because I figured, you wanted to mention a little bit. It's in Salt Lake City next year, and sign up is now open, correct?
Yes, yep. at a reduced rate. Mm-hmm.
And it does fill up every year. Mm-hmm. So hopefully.
And so, Keith, are there any questions for us?
I don't have any in the chat at the moment.
Okay. So go ahead and just jump to the other pictures that I have then.
Okay.
Because I went a few days early because I have never been to Dallas as an advisor before. So I went to Dallas, and I was able to go to South Fork Ranch. And so some of you may remember, as I do, J.R. Ewing, and we dressed up in 80s clothes and went to South Fork Ranch. okay, keep going because this is
Uh,
funny. This car is huge. I was totally in awe of how big this car was. This was the actual car, So go ahead.
No, I
I
think
think
that's all of the
is that,
ones that I
oh, is
have from
that okay?
Southport.
So,
I mean,
and we
you've got a
also,
cow, a longhorn, and a car. I mean, you've
yeah,
got Texas right there.
right there, right there. And we had, we also, my husband and I went into downtown Dallas and we saw the great big 30-foot eye statue. It's a huge, just huge, 30 foot. It's an eyeball. And then they also have another park that we got to see with some steer. And then, of course, we went to the JFK Memorial and Daily Park. I probably have the wrong name of the park, but we went and did all of that. And it was so hot that we really just couldn't do anything else, but we wanted to. Of course, we ate some barbecue. Um, and then we saw the building where South Fork was like they would film the beginning of the front of the building as part of the Ewing Empire, which wasn't really that building, but that's what they used. So we did take the time to go somewhere we've not been before and tour it, because when you are in the conference, you don't have time to tour. They have you going from early in the morning till late at night. Last year, Southwest, I assume because it was their headquarters, gave us a discount on airfare to come in. So, but what I am going to tell you is if you are signed up for next year's conference, do it now. Don't wait on your airfare because it does fill up and I don't know if you can get airfare. It doesn't seem like you'd be able to get airfare yet. It'd be very close to the days if you could get it. So you'll just get your airfare later. I'm not quite sure when the date to cancel is, but if you are thinking about going, you will want to not hesitate because the price does go up. Okay.
The cancellation date, from my understanding, Vicky, is September the 1st or something like that.
Beautiful. So you can sign up now and get your money back. Is that correct, Crystal?
Yeah, you can get all your money back except $25.
Okay. All right. To reserve your spot. And then they will open up for your training sessions and those sorts of things. They'll open those up after the first of the year, closer to the actual event. But they have announced the speaker for next year, but they haven't announced all of the classes and things. The other thing that they did this year is they have a program called VTA, and they have revised that program, and they did one of the tracks was that you could get your VTA or you could get started on your VTA while you were at the event. Shelley, would you mind talking about the VTA?
So it's, if you have taken it before now, you're sort of grandfathered in from the requirements that are now in place, but you have to have a combination of things. So like 5 years of experience, anywhere, depending on your role, $250,000 a year in sales, $500,000 a year in sales. You have to, instead of doing like the 11 modules, they moved it down to the 4, what they think is the 4 most important modules, basically about ethics kind of being at the top, compliance, all the legal things. That was sort of their main goal, because you can get a lot of the other training that was on there from your consortia, host, agency, whatever. After that, they will roll out this year a lead generation program and only list the VTAs. And at the top of the list is a VTA with the photo and a profile. And then if you don't have a photo, you fall to the second, hierarchy of how they show you. So it's a great way, because their new slogan, instead of the, you're on your own without a travel advisor, is travel you trust. And instead of saying, oh, that person that defrauded all those people out of their cruise money, they're kind of leaning into that, saying, if you use a VTA, you're not going to get sucked into that, because these people are trusted travel advisors. So that's sort of this year's campaign and push, and they are putting a lot of money into it. So it's worthwhile. There's lots of chatter about, oh, is it Travel Institute? Is it CLIA? Is it BTA? But they really want to be the gold standard for professional travel advisors. So
Thank you, Shelley.
sure. I do have one thing to add. I gave them some feedback because the fast track is what's available at Travel Advisor Conference. So for people who want to take it, who meet the other requirements, you can take the test there. They have a quick class. That's one of your educational sessions. And then you take the test. And so 50 questions in 60 minutes apparently was a little difficult. And a couple of people that I know who actually are in the education sphere said, yeah, that's really crazy. So we've passed that along to the powers that be, and so they might change that up just a little bit next year too.
Is anybody here at VTA?
I
Me too.
I am.
Yeah. And Crystal, did you do it at the event or did you do it the old way?
I did it the old way.
Me too. Yeah, it was a lot of classes then. Ray, you as well? You did it the old way?
I did it in 2020 when I found out we had a lot of free time on our hands.
Me too. Me too. All right. Keith,
Other
any
questions?
questions?
I do have a question. Is it better to go a day ahead or 2 days ahead of the conference?
Okay, so as an advisor, I always tell everybody to go a day early, at least one day early. In this particular instance,
Didn't work.
yeah, it was good that you were trying to get in a day early, otherwise you would have missed the conference because
Yeah.
of the weather.
Uh-huh.
But I actually went in on the weekend. The event started in the middle of the week, and I went in on the weekend so that I could tour. So it really is up to you and how it works for you. I believe it starts on Wednesday. Actually, it starts on Tuesday. Is that correct? It started on Tuesday?
Yeah.
Okay, so we had a chapter president's meeting on Monday that I had to be there for, but I came in Friday night, so I was in Dallas all day Saturday, all day Sunday to tour. Monday was a holiday, and that was the day that the chapter president's meeting started that evening. So that was the day a lot of the chapter presidents were traveling in. So if I had just been coming in for the event to start on Wednesday, I would probably have come in at least on Monday, Sunday or Monday. So
And
I could tour.
Tuesday is when it's starting in 2025. Tuesday,
Okay.
May 20th.
Tuesday. Okay, so then I would, when I make my arrangements, I will probably come in on Friday or Saturday again.
The weather kept Allison and me in Orlando for an extra night, and we got there to the hotel around 2 p.m., changed clothes real quick, and got to the trade show. And for a 3-hour trade show, we got 45 minutes. That's it. We tried to get there the day early, but Mother Nature had other plans.
But you got there.
We did, and
Yes.
travel insurance is a good thing.
Other questions?
I do have a question. So if you sign up early to certain classes and then realize once you're there that another class might be more beneficial, do you have the opportunity to make those changes at that time?
Ray, you're saying yes. What did you do?
Well, as long as there's availability, of course, I got there and Allison, my roommate, said, "What class are you going to?" And I said, "I don't know. How do you know it?" She said, "It's on the back of your badge." My badge was blank. So I remember signing up for things, but it had to be a user error because she had hers. I must not have scrolled down and hit submit or send or whatever to confirm everything. So I got there and had nothing planned and went to the desk and she just added everything for me. So as long as there's availability, they can add you to a class or change a class. But if there's no availability, of course, they'd have to say no.
And Vicky, you said that you went to the AI class and that after the people who had signed up went in, they let you in once there was space, right?
Right. They let everybody in, and then and I'm just going to make up a time. It started at 2:00. So like at 1:59, there was a line of people who wanted to get into that class, and we had actually started lining up a little early, and they let us in as long as there was space. They were being very mindful of the fire laws. So they really weren't letting people do standing room. But they did have extra seating at the tables. And there was probably, I want to say probably 10 of us got in. I don't know for sure, but probably.
Good question.
Okay.
Any others? Okay, any closing thoughts, Vicky or Shelley? No?
Let's go with Ray. Do you have any closing thoughts, Ray?
No, honestly, I think we've covered everything. Good job.
Shelley?
No, I can't think of anything. I'm glad that they've revamped the conference and it's not so supplier heavy.
Okay. And congratulations again, Shelley, on winning. The other thing I want to tell you guys is for chapter connections, because I didn't cover this, they do pass out a few awards. So it's not just all going to the tables. You come in and they have a little bit of a program that you stand for. So if you are not if you're not good at standing, be sure and ask somebody for a chair. They pass out chapter president of the year and regional director of the year and several other awards like that. And then they do give away prizes at the end. So there is some standing involved in that. That's a pretty standing heavy event, kind of like the trade show. Okay.
Good to know. Okay. Anything else? Are we ready to end?
I
All
think
right.
so.
Well,
I do
thank
have
you
one
very
more
much.
question.
Yeah.
Sorry. For the trade shows, do they offer you a lot of brochures and things of that nature? Or do they utilize more QR codes now?
Some and
For
some.
Yeah, I was gonna say for this one, I found I took a couple of brochures, but not a lot because I didn't want to carry them back in my suitcase, even though I did have that extra suitcase. There were a lot of QR codes available.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah.
post-COVID, we're seeing that it's staying a lot of QR codes, a lot of digital material. We're not seeing nearly as much of the return to printed material as some people probably would have thought. And I think that's cost effective as well.
And it's good for the environment, being married
is.
to an environmentalist, and perfectly, quite honestly, I have a bookshelf in my office for 15 years. I was stocking brochures like nobody's business. COVID hit, so that was probably what, 12 years into the business. And now I have one shelf with about 2 stacks like this of things that people send me in the mail that I don't even ask for. Do I ever use them? Not really. About every 3 months I go through them and throw things away. So that's about it. But I use my guides from the cruise lines more than anything, and I'm the one that orders those. QR codes are the way to go. Electronic is really another silver lining from COVID, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, and we are still seeing a lot of companies, not just cruise lines, revamp their schedules mid-year and adjust for things. I could name 3 or 4 companies that had to adjust because of the Middle East. And so a whole bunch of Africa, India, and the Middle East itself, they've had to cancel things in bulk or reschedule. And so it's been nice that you didn't have a bunch of material that was just outdated, but the updated material was available pretty fast because they didn't have to prep it and then send it to a printer and then wait weeks for it to go out. So there is some good sides to it. I still have clients who really like printed material, but a lot of people have moved the digital really works for them.
And many of the companies, the suppliers, have platforms where you can go in and produce something that you can email to your client, that if they've really got to have something printed, you can make it specific to what their needs are, their requests are, and let them print it, let them spend their paper, if they're the type that likes a printed copy, or you can print it and mail it to them if you really want to do that. But yeah, anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I have a number of clients that I print things for them and deliver it to them or mail it to them. So yeah, exactly. We're trying for a balance here. Thank you for the question.
I also forgot to mention that ASTA has a mentoring program, and the mentors had a meetup during the event. They met because I don't believe the mentors. I'm not part of the program, but I don't believe the mentors and the mentees actually meet each other. I think a lot of it is virtual. And I know the mentors themselves got together and met together with the mentors, and then they also met with their mentees during a part of that. So there was a little meeting there for those who were available.
I missed it. I'm a mentor and I missed the meeting, but anyway.
Can't control the weather as much as we'd like to.
Can you explain a little bit about what the mentor program is?
You talking to me or Vicky?
Ray, I
Whoever.
think that one's you for you.
Okay, I was thinking that's what that you meant. We ASTA pairs people that apply to be mentors up with people who apply to be mentees, and they've got a set suggested program, I'll say, of things to accomplish with your mentee. Basically, my mentee and I meet about every other week, usually a week to 10 days, sometimes 2 weeks, depending on our schedules, and talk about things that are of interest to her. Specifically, if she wants to talk about marketing, how did you do this, setting up automation, I mean, whatever, to help her build her business and establish things in a system, to get started. But it's really just to help jumpstart her business. I don't know any other way to describe it, but you could go to ASTA's website, and I'm sure they have a perfect job description there. That's just my 2 cents about what I see the program being.
Interesting. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Anything else? Keith, thank you very much for moderating today.
No problem. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good week.
You too. Thank you.
Very helpful.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.